Hello, this is lesson 26B part 2, and we're going to do example number 2 in this video. So example number 2 is also a rational equation, and we are going to solve for x. So our only instructions on here are to solve, and what that means is you need to isolate x. However, x is trapped all over the place in numerators, denominators, all over these rational equations or expressions. And so I'm actually going to do a little bit of writing so that you know the steps that are involved. In this, steps to solving, the first thing you are going to want to do is factor everything. You need to factor anything that you can in the numerator and denominator, and if there's greatest common factor, factor that out as well, because this is going to be used to reveal certain factors that we can use for our denominator or for our solving. Okay, so let's also it's going to help us figure out what makes this equation undefined. So let's go back to some factoring. This is already factored for us. Great. This is also already factored for us. This numerator is factored for us. And now we just have to factor this. And you can factor this in your brain. You have x and x. What factors of 8 make up -6? And you say -2 and -4. And so this is now factored, which means we should call out right now what values can x not be, because it'll make the equation undefined. In this case, x cannot equal to +4. It would make this equation undefined. In this expression, x cannot equal to 2 because it would make the expression undefined. In this expression, 2 and 4 cannot be in the denominator because it would make the expression undefined. Great. So, factor everything. Call out values that make the equation undefined. Now we need to find a common denominator, and we're going to do that by putting together the factors. Factors from the denominator. Okay, let's work on this. So our common denominator in this case is going to be x minus 2 and x minus 4. There, that was pretty easy. What we're going to do now is a new way that we solve for the expressions, and that is to multiply, well, that's not how you spell multiply, multiply everything by the common denominator. And this is a great skill for you to use, and we're going to walk through why this works. So I have, I'm just going to take this and write it down here. And I'm going to multiply everything. My common denominator was x minus 2 and x minus 4. I'm going to multiply everything. And when I mean everything in this equation. This whole equation has these big brackets on it, and now I'm going to multiply it by my common denominator, which is x minus 2 and x minus 4. This is technically over 1. Just technically, this is a numerator and there's a 1 in the denominator. Sometimes it helps people to do that, and sometimes it doesn't. So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply our common denominator right here by every single term. This term, then we're going to multiply our common denominator by this term, and then we're going to multiply our common denominator by this term. Okay? So let's do this green. Well, some of you might not be able to see that, but let's do this multiplication first. In my scratch work side, scratch, I am going to multiply 1 over x minus 4 times x minus 2, x minus 4, and technically this is all over 1. So now this is great because I'm using my multiplication skills. I can cross out my factors, x minus 4, the entire factor, and I'm left with x minus 2. So now I'm going to write x minus 2 over here. If you end up not having denominator here, that's good. That's the whole point of why we're doing this, so that we don't have a denominator. Okay, Now let's take this light blue color and let's multiply that expression, x minus 2 times x minus 2 and x minus 4. Again, technically, this is over 1. And if we do this, now we have another factor that cancels away. If your denominator is canceling away or simplifying to 1 with something in the numerator, that is also good. So you're left with x minus 4. And now I'm going to distribute x squared minus 4x. Now I'm going to put this back in here. Whoops, x squared minus 4x. Equal sign. Finally, I have my right-hand side of the equation, 2 over x minus 2, x minus 4. And I'm going to multiply it by my common denominator, x minus 2, x minus 4. Again, it's over 1. This factor cancels, and I'm left with 2. So my whole right side of the equation cancels to 2. Here's where you should put a star, and you should take note. When you do this, when you multiply by the common denominator through the entire equation, you are left with just the numerators. You are left with just the numerators. From here, now, finally, I should mention, you need to solve for x by isolating. X. Okay, so in this case, let's simplify the left-hand side. We have x minus 2 plus x squared minus 4x equal to 2. My common factors, my like terms are x and minus 4, so I'm left with minus 3. If I subtract 2, I'll just write out my steps. Okay. There's a reason why I set everything equal to 0. I moved my entire equation to one side because now that it's set equal to 0, we can use zero product property to solve. So break this up by factoring. There's one of your vocabulary words. I've said it lots of times. Now we're going to factor x minus 4 and x plus 1. And we're going to break it up into two equations because we are going to use our zero product property. And we have plus 4. And then we have minus 1. Okay, these are our solutions. However, we need to check for extraneous solutions. Check. Make sure you check. Highlight this. Make sure you need to check. Now, in the very beginning, we said x cannot equal to 4 and x cannot equal to 2. Oh, that's right, because if 4 was plugged into this equation, it would make the world blow up. So, x cannot equal to 4. How are you going to communicate this? Well, first of all, you can write something like this. You could cross this out. Don't go crazy. Don't erase it. Just show us that you are not including this solution. And then, if you had to explain and justify why, you would say x is equal to 4 is an extraneous solution because x is equal to 4 makes the equation undefined. The only solution to this equation is x is equal to -1. When you write a sentence like this, you're making it very clear that you understand this material and that you are communicating your findings. So even if you do the math correct, you also need to be able to communicate your findings with us using different ways such as words. So make sure that you make a note in here with your notes that you need to practice using the sentence stem. And we're going to try it again in one more example in part 3 of this video, continued next. Move on to part 3. Bye!